Wow. We all know Max Kellerman never fails to disappoint. He had an interview with Teofimo Lopez right after him knocking out Akhi in an impressive fashion. And he had him on Max on Boxing on Espn, where he told Teo that he's not a real champion. Where Lopez had a priceless reaction. He even turned his face away for a moment and basically shook his head and disagreed with Max Kellerman and told him, if I'm not a real champion, then what is Akhi then? And obviously Kellerman had to max his censor to, and he had to flip it to a 3 or 4 and told him it's like college football. You have the NFL and you have college football. You basically the champion of the college football, while Lomachenko is the pound for pound #1 and he plays in the NFL. So apparently Max haven't got that memo yet. This ain't the pros versus the amateurs. Lopez is a real life champion. He's a real threat for Lomachenko's throne. He's not an Olympian. He's not a gold medalist. He has a strap, a real strap. Something Lomachenko knows a thing or two about. Because obviously he even vacated one of them to avoid a Devin Haney and requested a French fries belt to avoid the dream Haney, someone that maybe he been having nightmares about. So if ESPN is going to continue to erase Lomachenko loss or make it a draw, then good luck with that in the future, because he got a storm to go through, and that's a Lopez, a Devin Haney, Tank Davis, Shakur in the future. So Max Kellerman need to slow his roll, because this train that he's creating that might crash just like the one he created or helped create, which was Gennady Golovkin, that ended up crashing at the end of the day, where he hopped off the plane or the train and obviously even started taking it apart too, agreeing with new media after he left HBO and went to ESPN. So hopefully he won't have the same fate that he did with Gennady Golovkin. However, to say that Lopez is not a real champion and basically compare him to a college football and comparing Lomachenko to the NFL is equivalent to comparing the pros versus the amateurs. And a character like Max Kellerman should know better than that. However, it lets you know how much they push in Lomachenko. So I'm pretty sure at this point, Lopez already knows that he has to knock out Lomachenko to get a fair decision. So if you know, you know. We definitely dissecting this, since Max Kellerman committed a crime and left the evidence in the scene of the crime. How y'all doing, ladies and gentlemen? Pieces and blessings upon all my Akhis and all my sisters out there. Welcome to Akhi, or TV. Subscribe below if you're trying to get smarter by the minute. If you're trying to get dumber by the second, don't, and listen to these casual fans / old media. And welcome to the Akhi University, where if you want to join us, click on the notification bell to get notified every time we post or go live on Split Decision, where you're going to get a notification bell from the Akhi satellite. So let's go to work and dissect this. So a little history lesson for the ones that don't know. Back in the day, there was only one strap, one real belt, and one real champion on just only mandatories under him. However, nowadays, there's actually 5 straps. People don't really consider the IBO as a belt. So since that's the case, we're just going to talk about the 4 main titles. However, nowadays, they even have super titles, which is the WBA super title, and I believe they even have diamond belts, interim belts, which those aren't real belts. But the super belt is a real belt. It's actually turned into the real belt instead of the regular title for the WBA. And just to point out, the diamond and the interim belts are for the mandatory and basically a continent champion. However, with the French fries belt come into play, is only held by Canelo and Lomachenko because they requested a French fries title, which is not a belt or a championship, to avoid a mandatory from the coincidental list. It's obviously fighters from the hopeless that's doing it, because it's not a coincidence. They don't want to fight the Charlos and the Devin Haneys of the world, and what's understood don't got to be explained. However, the super belts Back in the day, you had to defend your title 10 times against either your mandatories or just fighters, period. And once you defend your title more than 10 times, you are officially a super champion, where you get to keep the regular title, and basically you don't have mandatories no more because you are a proven champion. However, nowadays they giving out free straps, and what makes it worse, you can even request titles that are not a belt. And unlike the old days where you become a super champion and get to keep your title and not fight your mandatories, nowadays, to avoid a mandatory from the coincidental list, all you have to do is give up your real title that's actually a belt and request a belt that's not a championship that you could win but you can't lose, and offer 10% of your purse instead of 2% to the WBC and avoid your mandatory. However, Max Kellerman, like I said, is not going to talk about these things. But guess who will? Akhi over here. So we're going to talk about it. And Max has the audacity to tell Lopez, a real champion, that he basically not a real champion, even though he fights on his network, been on his show multiple times. I believe that was the 4th time he was there, and he even opened up the show with Lopez. So he gonna tell him, the guy that beat a Comey, that was a real champion, just like Lomachenko when he moved up to the 135-pound division and beat Alvarez. So who did Lomachenko beat to be this real champion at the end of the day? Oh, is it Luke Campbell? The guy he fought for a vacant belt for the same strat he gave up the next day? Is that who Max Kellerman talking about? Because it's one thing to say, hey, you entered the NFL. You basically made it to the final. You have the Super Bowl next on pay-per-view. Are you ready for that challenge, Lopez? Are you ready to play on pay-per-view on the Super Bowl of boxing? He could have easily said that. However, he chose to call Lomachenko a real champion and Lopez basically a copy version of something. Because, like I said, you got to keep in mind, who did Lomachenko beat for his world title? Is it Salido, the guy he lost to and got taken to the Mexican University? Oh nah, I believe it was Gary Russell. They fought for a vacant belt. Then he moved up and fought Mikey Garcia leftovers, where a lot of people believe actually that Martinez lost to Salido in a war prior to Lomachenko fighting Martinez. And we all know Lomachenko stated he's not interested in the Salido match because Salido asking for too much money that he don't deserve, and he already passed that during his career. He's an elite fighter, meanwhile Salido is not. However, that's the only guy that beat you in the pros. But who are we kidding? Lomachenko is not worried about Salido lost. He living his best life. I mean, he already know his hopeless card is going to come into play, and ESPN going to do him a favor too and erase that loss from his record. So obviously, he's not worried about Salido or the Mexican University of Boxing. However, he need to worry about the Akhi University of Boxing and new media, because we don't let anything fly over our head. So you see how easily somebody could critique somebody. And I showed Max Kellerman how to critique someone in a legit manner while being fair, doing it with logic, not emotion, without showing any favoritism to a particular fighter due to personal beliefs or liking a fighter. So to say that Lopez is a copy version of a champion when he knocked out a real champion like Comey, who was a proven champion, defended his title against Beltran, knocked him out, fought Easter in the past in a close fight, and Lopez knocked him out in an impressive fashion, you're gonna tell that person he's not a real champion and he fights on your network? Max Kellerman really has the audacity that Jim Lampley had for Floyd Mayweather on HBO. But it's only right for Max Kellerman to snatch the throne since Jim Lampley retired with HBO, because he obviously missed him so much. So he had to see if the shoe fits wear it, and he's in a perfect position to do so. But to basically say that Lomachenko is a real champion and Lopez is not was a reach by Max Kellerman. It's like reaching for the pole when it's too high up and you really can't jump that high. And we obviously had to save the best for last, where Max Kellerman was trying to convince Lopez that Lomachenko is pound for pound #1, where again Lopez disagreed with him, breaking his heart in the process, because I know them was really heartbreaking moments. And this ain't the first time. I mean, Jim Lampley back in the day, everything he says on HBO, they pretty much agreed with him. Didn't have the courage to disagree with him, man. However, Max Kellerman, he's finding it difficult because unlike Jim Lampley, Max Kellerman is having a hard time when he has co-hosts like Andre Ward who keep it 1,000. And every time he screams out, Lomachenko pound for pound #1, everybody next to him looking at him sideways, stating that Crawford is pound for pound #1. So this ain't the first time, nor the last. I mean, Crawford checked Max Kellerman like a week ago. Shakur did it a couple months ago. And now Lopez did it a couple days ago. So Lopez, welcome to the club. So like I said, Lopez basically told Max Kellerman that Lomachenko is not pound for pound #1. He's probably #2 or 3. Where Max Kellerman had a reply by laying a trap for Lopez to fall into and make himself uncredible by telling him why you believe you pound for pound #1 or 2. And then obviously Lopez, he way smarter than that, inside and outside of the ring. He told him, I will be after I beat Lomachenko. But Max Kellerman know exactly what Lopez meant. He knows Lopez on more than one occasion co-signed Andre Ward and all these experts and new media stating that Terrence Crawford is pound for pound #1. So Kellerman could maximize playing around and pretending all he want, like he don't know what Lopez was referring to, when he knows better than I do. And like I said prior, that's why Crawford checked him, that's why Shakur checked him, and that's why Lopez disagreed with him 1,000%, just as much as I do. So like I said, tune in and click on the notification bell to get notified every time we post or go live on Split Decision, because y'all know we covering this up. And whoever want to disagree, please call in, because we want all the smoke during the debate. However, if you want to join the Akhi family, then call in and show love. I appreciate every single one of y'all, all my Akhis. Subscribe below if you want to be part of the Akhi universe of boxing by smashing that subscribe button. If you're trying to get smarter by the minute, if you're trying to get dumber by the second, don't, and listen to these casual fans. And follow my man Lunatoon Boxing for the funniest boxing memes. I will leave his IG link in the description box below, so keep it a G and follow my man. He too part of the new media wave that Dante started, so shout out to DBN for allowing me to post on his platform and giving me the opportunity and believing in his Akhi/brother, and to be continued on the next episode of Akhi TV. Peace, and we out.